One generation later, same issues, same issues. Now let's look at Ignatius of Antioch. You probably know that the first couple of chapters, first 3 chapters of the book of Revelation includes a series of letters to the churches, okay? And you got 7 churches, and a lot of those churches are the churches that Ignatius is going to be writing to also. They're kind of like satellite churches around Ephesus, okay? And that's what we're going to. Ignatius is writing to Smyrna, Philadelphia, Ephesus, Tralles, Magnesia, and then Rome, which is where he's being taken. He's being taken to be martyred. Okay, he's going to be thrown to the lions in the Colosseum, and he knows it. Okay, so he's heading there, and he's in the meantime stopping and writing letters to these churches to encourage them. And this is the kind of encouragement that he wants. He wants, as Bishop of Antioch, and he's standing in the line of Peter in Antioch. He's writing to the Romans who are standing in the line of Peter and Paul, okay? And he says here is the secret to unity, number 1. Hang with your bishop and his presbyters and the deacons, okay? Stay with them. Listen to their teaching, respect them, on and on and on, throughout all the letters. Secret to unity, number 2. Unity at the Eucharist. You should have just one celebration. You all should be there. Gather with your bishop and with the presbyters and with the deacons and celebrate the Eucharist. And understand what it is you're celebrating. In the letter to the Magnesians, I think it is, he says, can you believe there are actually some people who don't come to the celebration of the Eucharist because they will not confess that the bread and wine becomes the self-same body and blood of the Lord who died for us? Ignatius is saying, what are they thinking when they're not thinking? How can they not think like that? What? He says, stay there. Oh, I did virtually a quote. Oh, no. Oh, no. No. Can't find it easily. I thought I had it marked in the book here, and I guess I don't. So, but take my word for it. And the letters themselves are extraordinarily worth reading. Okay, so you can get them easily, and the letters of Ignatius of Antioch to these churches, and then to Polycarp, who is the bishop of Smyrna. Okay, extraordinary letters, extraordinary letters. He also says, here is an additional issue, he says, particularly in his letter to the Romans, help me to remain faithful unto death for Christ my God. And he writes to the Romans, and he said, now look, when I get there, if I say, get me out of this, don't listen to me. Listen to the words I'm writing to you now, okay? And that passage I can find, and it is worth hearing in his letter to the Romans. I don't have any of this marked in this translation. I got my Greek marked, but that's over there. Let's see. He says, it is the hope of this world's prince to get hold of me and undermine my resolve, set as it is upon God. Pray, let none of you lend him any assistance, but take my part instead, for it is the part of God. Do not have Jesus Christ on your lips and the world in your heart. Do not cherish thoughts of grudging me my fate. Even if I were to come and implore you in person, do not yield to my pleading. Keep your compliance for this written entreaty instead. Here and now, as I write in the fullness of life, I am yearning for death with all the passion of a lover. Earthly longings have been crucified. In me there is left no spark of desire for mundane things, but only a murmur of living water that whispers within me, come to the Father. There is no pleasure for me in any meats that perish, or in the delights of this life, I long only for the bread of God, which is the flesh of Jesus Christ, the seed of David. And for my drink, I crave that blood of his, which is love imperishable. Heavy-duty stuff, good stuff. Letter to the Romans. Okay, that's the desire, the flaw, and the hope. Okay, so any comments or questions that you might want to throw at me? Or anything else you want to throw at me? Yeah. We don't know. It was not Peter or Paul. It was already established before they got there. Okay? And the same is true in Antioch, by the way. Okay? Before Saul becomes Paul, okay, there are already believers up there, if you remember. Okay? So we don't know who established some of these. We know with the missionary journeys of Paul and Barnabas or Paul and Silas that certain of the churches, Ephesus, for example, Philippi, Thessalonica, Corinth, those were the ones, the Galatian areas, those are the ones established by Paul and his companions in those missionary journeys. As far as Rome is concerned, we don't know how the word got there, but it got there early. In fact, we know that Priscilla and Aquila, who taught Apollos, okay, they were thrown out of Rome, okay, in I think 49 A.D., because of some rioting that was going on between, basically fistfights between the Jews who believed in Jesus and those that didn't. And the Emperor Claudius expelled them all, at least temporarily. Okay, so that's pretty early on. So we don't know who really brought the word there. What happened, though, is when Peter and Paul got there, they became the anchors of the church there. In fact, Ignatius says as much in his letter to the Romans, said, I'm not giving you commands like I'm a Peter or a Paul or something like that. You know, I'm just asking you for prayer. Okay, next week will be the last session, and we will be talking about the 7 last words of Christ on the cross.